Hi, and welcome to this training course on blogging. My name is Sarah Orchard, and I'm your trainer today. I've worked in marketing for 27 years, predominantly with travel and tourism businesses, and I'm also the creator of GetFullyBooked.com. I also run a holiday accommodation business with my husband, Adrian. So we both understand what it's like to actually run a tourism business and as well as having to do the marketing. So today's training session, we're going to look at 5 things. We're going to look at what blogging is and how it can help your business. How to decide what to blog about if blogging is something that you decide that you're going to do from a marketing point of view. How to identify the best keywords to use in your blog, and I've got some free tools that can help you do that. We're going to look at the anatomy of a blog post and how Google sees your blog posts. And then also I'm going to run you through my blogging checklist and what to avoid. So first of all, what is a blog? You've probably seen blogs on lots of websites. I've got an example here of Puzzlewood, which is an attraction in the Forest of Dean. And if we look here at the top of the page, we can see there's a news section. Now, blogs, sometimes it will say on a website, they'll call it blog, sometimes they'll call it news. They might call it articles, they might call it inspiration. You can actually call your blog section on your website anything that you want, but a blog is basically, it is an article that appears on your website and it acts as an additional page. And the reason that blogging is so good for search engine optimization and being found by Google is that if you think about it, the average website has about 5 pages, 5 to maybe 10 pages. If you write blog articles, every single blog that you create on your website is another web page. So from Google's point of view, your website becomes more chunky. It has more pages, it therefore has more keywords. So it's more likely to match with the things that people are searching for on Google. So that helps you to be found. And also Google will tend to rank the websites that actually have more pages higher than those that maybe are a little bit thin and they've only got 5 web pages. So I'll come on to show you some statistics that sort of back that up. But basically you have to think about a blog as you've written an article and you've put that content on your website, and every single blog article is a new web page and therefore is quite valuable from a website traffic point of view. So I've sort of explained why blogs are important, but ultimately the reason that they're so important for us as small businesses is that we have small marketing budgets and we have limited time, and you're never ever going to be able to sort of shout enough to be heard in terms of if you were to do like traditional advertising, because we don't have the budgets to compete with the big companies that are spending a lot of money on main media. So what we need to try and do is we need to try and attract people to our business that are interested in what we do. And we need to think about this in 2 ways. It's sort of outbound and inbound marketing. And outbound marketing is what we call, it's like a push effect. We're pushing our message out to our audience. And that's more the old-fashioned way of sort of marketing, which would be things like print adverts. So going into your local newspaper, maybe doing a radio advert, doing things like door drops or direct mail. They're very much, you're pushing your message out to your audience, and that's outbound marketing. Also things like Facebook ads and Google AdWords, which is pay-per-click advertising, is more traditional outbound marketing techniques. Inbound marketing, you have to think about is pull. So that's more like a magnet. It's pulling people into your business that are looking for what you do or interested in the category or topic of business that you're offering. So for example, your website and search engine optimization gets you found by people that are actually searching for your category of business. So they may be looking for a family-friendly attraction in the Forest of Dean, and then they might find Puzzlewood. So it's a way of pulling people into your business. Blogging is one of the techniques as well. Video content, your Facebook posts are a way of attracting and pulling people into your business. If you do Instagram Reels, even your opted in email list, because people have actually shown an interest in your business. If you use that list to do your marketing, and there's another training video on email marketing, you will actually be pulling people into your business, and things like PR as well. So it's quite useful to think about it in the sense of a pull and a push approach. And in my opinion, when you're a small business, a pull strategy where you're acting like that magnet and you're attracting people into your business is always going to be the best use of your marketing budget. Now, social media, I did mention it. Everyone gets very carried away with social media, and we can all spend a lot of time on it, but actually sometimes it can't be as effective as some of the other techniques. And blogging is definitely one that gets overlooked, and people tend to launch into social media. It's a lot easier to do a quick post on Facebook or Instagram, for example, than to maybe write an article. But actually, the actual article, the blog, may have much longevity and longer results for your business than a post that you put on, for example, on Facebook. So it's worth considering that although it takes a bit more effort, it can actually be more effective in the long term. So as I said, blogging is really, really helpful on a couple of grounds. One is driving quality and pulling in that quality traffic to your website. You get the long-term benefits of search engine optimization because your blog posts don't go away. Unlike a Facebook post, which disappears and people see and then it's very transient, it actually has a much longer benefit and it stays live on the web and it can be working really hard for you. I wrote a blog post about 8 years ago that's still pulling hundreds of visits to my website every single month. So, the blog posts can work quite hard for you. There's also softer benefits. So, for example, if you write a good blog post, it can be a great way of actually enhancing your visitors, your guests, your ideal customers' experience of your business, maybe their visit or their stay with you. It's a way of building brand personality as well. You can actually convey a bit more about maybe the background and who works in your business. You can also use it to tell a bit more of the story and to bring your business to life, which actually can help you to stand out from your competitors and gain an advantage. As I said, you can showcase the experience. Many of us in travel, tourism, and hospitality are actually offering an experience for our guests and visitors. So a blog can be really helpful to actually bring that to life and actually demonstrate that much better than just one or two web pages. Blogs can also be a really good way of converting what I call like lurking website visitors into actual customers. It can give them the confidence to actually make a booking and to go ahead and maybe come and visit your restaurant or your pub, or to actually come and see your attraction. And maybe it can also help them to spend more time in the location as well. But it is a good way of converting a lurking person who's sort of found your website into an actual customer. So as I said, blogging is a very powerful tool because not only is it very good from a search engine optimization point of view, it also is a great brand builder and a way to engage and create real value to your customers in terms of when they visit your website and the information that they get from it. Blogging is still very, very effective. So often, again, people are concerned about how much time they might have to spend to write blog articles. But actually, a handful of really well-crafted blog posts can actually have a really positive long-term effect for your business and is definitely worth the effort. So here's some statistics that sort of show how beneficial blogging can be. Blogging is responsible for 434% more indexed pages. So these are the pages that Google picks up and shows in search results. And 97% of more indexed links. So these are links that then take people to a particular web page. So it can be very, very effective, as I said, in terms of getting visibility in Google when people are searching. And companies that have actually published more than just say like 4 or 5 blog posts, say you've actually done 16 blog posts, and obviously the more blog posts you have, the more beneficial. And those businesses that have had more than 16 blog posts in a month got almost 3.5 times the traffic than companies that didn't blog at all. So you can imagine that the cumulative effect of having some blogs on your website can be very, very beneficial. And for businesses that have accumulated more than 50 blog posts, they get more than 53% more traffic than sites that only have maybe 20 to 50 blog posts. And if you have over 100 blog posts, which might sound like, oh my God, that's just far too many to try and achieve, but bear in mind this is over time, gets up to 3 times more traffic. And I've seen this in my own business. My website now has over 200 blog posts, and I get a lot more traffic from them when I didn't blog. So it does have a very positive effect. And I've seen this impact, particularly with my clients, all of those that have managed to get over that 50 blog posts. There's like a big spike in their traffic, and they do get a lot more visibility with Google. And 60% of consumers feel more engaged and positive with a brand or a company when they've read blog content. So how can blogging help your business? And how do you get started? So the first step is to think about your ideal customers. So your ideal visitors, guests, or maybe diners. And then think about what is going to be of interest to them. So it could be something around the type of customer they are. So for example, if they travel with their dog, or they are a family, so something that is to do with family friendly. So if I was blogging for a family friendly, say I ran a holiday cottage, I might be thinking family friendly, what would be one of the biggest things? It might be, what do I do on a rainy day? So you could do a blog post around rainy day, family friendly days out in your location. And that would be quite a good blog post from a visibility point of view. It would also be really nice to send out in your guest, maybe like pre-arrival information, and to have on your website so that people can actually get some ideas of what to do when they're in the area. So the starting point really, as I said, is to sit down and think about your ideal customers and who are they? What's their profile? What are they interested in? What are they looking to get out of staying with your business or coming to your business if you're actually an attraction? What are they looking for? And what information would assist them? Maybe it's to answer a problem or a pain that they've got about traveling, maybe with, like I said, with children or with their dog. So like if you travel with your dog, it could be finding pubs that are dog friendly, because actually nothing worse than turning up on your walk to find a pub and think, oh, stop for a pub lunch, and find out that it's not dog friendly. So if you're running holiday accommodation, that could be a really, really good blog post. So just a few examples of things that you could blog about in a bit more detail. So one of the easiest ways to think about what to blog about is to think about frequently asked questions. So you probably know, running your business, the questions that you get asked time and time again by your guests or your visitors or your customers. So they make really good blog posts, because if you're being asked about it, you can guarantee that there are hundreds of thousands of people all over the country that will be thinking the same thing and asking the same questions. So therefore, they probably might even go and put it into Google and search for it. So actually having blog posts that answer those frequently asked questions is a really, really good idea. You can also provide visits and tips and advice. As I said, one of the examples was dog friendly. That's a really good one, or family friendly. So it could be things to enhance their stay. What about if you run a campsite or a glamp site? Maybe campfire recipes would be a really good topic that would be really helpful to your visitors when they get the most out of their sort of glamping or camping experience. If they can have a campfire, you know, not everyone wants to do sausages and burgers. You can give them other ideas of things that they can cook with the campfire. As I said, family-friendly activity ideas, dog-friendly visitor tips. That could be dog-friendly pubs, top 10 dog-friendly walks from your location. It's also a great way, as I said, of bringing your business to life. So things like behind the scenes. events or meet the team members can be really, really good. Also, don't be afraid to maybe share your favorite things in your particular area. Your top 5, I don't know, viewpoints or walks make great blog posts and actually are really, really beneficial to your guest or visitor. And it's a great way of getting your a bit of your business personality across as well. So it's not just very formal website copy. The next thing, step 3 really of this process, is to research your topics in a bit more detail. So you can use several things to do that. So for example, when you're looking at keywords and what people might be actually searching for, you can use Search Console, which your web developer can give you access to, which will show you the existing keywords that people are using to come to your website. There's also the Google autocomplete. So when you start to type in to the Google search bar, you'll see that it starts to fill in the words for you. Anything that comes up on that autocomplete is actually things that are highly searched for. So therefore that gives you a clue as to topics that might be in keywords that would be really good to include in a blog. There's also Google Trends, which is a free tool. You can use the Google Keyword Planner, which I'm going to show you a bit later on. There's also a tool called Google Correlate. There's one called Keywords Everywhere, and there's one called neilpatel.com Ubersuggests, which actually is really good for typing in keywords and seeing alternative keywords around that subject that might give you some ideas about what keywords you might want to include in a blog post, because that would help you from a search point of view. You can also set up Google Alerts, which are like, they're daily email alerts, updates that basically tell you what other blogs are appearing in Google search results. So I don't know if you use Google Alerts, but they can be quite useful. They can be quite good to keep an eye on what competitors are doing, but they can also be useful to get suggestions on blogs that are indexing well. As I said to you, frequently asked questions that your guests or visitors ask is a really good place to start in terms of keywords. There's also Yahoo Answers and Answers the Public, which are a couple of sites that are quite useful for seeing what people are asking in terms of questions. Social media, Twitter can be quite good to throw up what people are talking about and discussion points. And there's also Twilerts, which are the same as the Google Alerts, but for Twitter. And like I said, you can also check out what your competitors are blogging about, which can be very, very helpful. I said I was going to talk about the Keywords Planner. So the Google Keywords Planner is actually used for when you're doing Google AdWords or pay-per-click advertising, but you can use the Keyword Planner for free, and you'll see the URL there. You do have to create an account, but then you can go in and you can actually search for keywords. So you would basically log in. You want to try and find new keywords, so you click on this left-hand button. And then in this Find New Keywords box, you would type in the keywords. So this could be dog-friendly, for example. So if I was thinking about maybe dog-friendly pubs, I might just type in dog-friendly and see what comes up. This one, I've used the words family glamping. So I was trying to look for subjects around family glamping. It will show me how many people are searching for that expression, 100 to 1,000 per month in the UK. And then it will show me alternatives like glamping holidays, and there's a whole list. This is just, there's 672 keyword ideas here. So I would scroll down the list and I would look at those expressions and I would think about how could I, if I was writing an article, maybe, I don't know, the top 10 family glamping ideas, I would actually go and look at the alternative keywords and decide what to put in the blog post. And I want to try and get as many of the keywords that are around my topic as possible into my blog post, so that it would be visible for people that were maybe thinking about family glamping. It could be that you might do a blog post about why family glamping is the best holiday experience for families with like children of a certain age, or for your next holiday. You're writing an article, so you can write it around, the topic as a whole, or you can also write it around maybe like my top 5 tips for a great family glamping holiday. That would be a really nice one where you could talk about and draw in things that your site offers that makes it a really good family glamping site, but you could talk about it more generically as well. And then that may come up in search results when people are looking for family glamping holidays. So you can see how that might then get you visibility. So my 5 golden rules of blogging. So you've decided that you are going to do some blogs because they're good for SEO. Excuse me, and you have done some keyword research, so you've got some ideas around the possible words that you might need to use and the topics that you might blog about. But there are some rules about how to make the blogging that you do as effective as possible. So my 5 golden rules are that you should post regularly, ideally. And this is the ideal way if you were trying to get to quite large blog post volumes 4 times a month. However, that for most people would be quite daunting. So you could aim to just do 1 blog post a month, which means you're only writing 12 a year. But actually, there are scheduling tools with WordPress that allow you. So say you wrote 2 blog posts, you could actually sit down, write them one afternoon when you've got a spare 5 minutes, and not quite, maybe a little bit longer than 5 minutes. And then you can schedule them to go out across the month. But if you aim for once a month, and as I said, these posts, the blog posts stay there forever. So they constantly benefit your business. So the ideal thing is that you get a cumulative benefit over time with actually blogging. Blog posts should be around about 500 words. So if you think about it, a side of A4 is about 300. So with some pictures, anything from 300 words upwards is fine. Below 300 words, not quite so helpful from a keyword point of view, and also being as visible. But if you aim for 500 words, that's a good amount of words in a blog post to make it a sort of meaningful article and will help you from an SEO point of view. You want to write it like an article, so you want to use images and formatting to make it look attractive. So things I mean like that would be using images to break up the copy, using some subheads, so you have a headline, but using some subheads to maybe make your points, and to let people, if they were skim reading it, get the general gist of the article as well, just like you would in a magazine or a newspaper. Use the page titles and the meta descriptions. Now, these are the fields that Google looks at from an SEO point of view, and I highly recommend that you use, if you've got a WordPress website, you use a free plugin called Yoast SEO, which allows you to customize that page title and meta description fields for each and every blog post so that they're as effective as possible. And I'm going to just show you those on a screen grab of what that looks like in a blog post and what it looks like to Google. Always, if you can, add social share buttons as well. That's one of the one of the really good benefits of blogging, is that when you write the article, if it's of interest, give people the option that they could share it to social media. If you put the social share buttons in, you also get the option for people to email it as well. So they could email it to a friend, they could email it to themselves, they can share it on Facebook or on another platform, which is going to be really helpful for you from a visibility point of view. So by putting in those social share buttons, you can normally get a free plugin if you're using WordPress for your website, which will allow that to be done really easily. So let's just quickly look at how your blog looks to Google. And I said I would explain about those fields I mentioned, which was the page title and the meta description. So how your blog post will appear is, this is the Yoast SEO plugin. And this looks like, when you look at it, it looks like a search result in Google. So the title that you give your post, which is in the title field in WordPress, would be the top 3 visual content for small businesses using social media, which was a blog post that I wrote on my website. And it puts that in as the page SEO title. So it's called the page title. And if you see here, you get in Yoast, you get focus keywords where you could type in the keyword that you want to focus in. I don't bother with that, but I always edit this title field here and this meta description, which I would actually describe as the sort of carrot. So you want this page title to have the keywords in it. You want it to reflect your blog post title, but you can also change it so that it's different to the actual post. So the post might be something a bit more fluffy and a bit more creative. I don't know, 5 fun things to do with the family from your location, but you actually might want to then change this page title here to be 5 family-friendly activities in the location. You might want to shorten it or make it just a bit snappier and very keyword focused. And then you've got the meta description. So that is the bit that appears here underneath the URL and the page title in the search results, and it's what makes me want to click through to the article. So it's really important that you actually do customize these 2 fields so that the blog posts that you do write are as effective and as powerful as possible. And if you don't, it will just, the way that WordPress works is it will just grab the title of your post and it will take the first couple of lines of the article in your blog post, which might not be the best ones from a description point of view, and the best ones in terms of tempting people to actually click on your article. So it's always worth, as I said, it's always worth just customizing this little section down the bottom here. So these are the social share buttons that I mentioned. You can just see here where it enables the person to share it to Facebook or to LinkedIn or to share it on Twitter, which again helps you get more visibility. So finally, my 10-point blogging checklist. So this is to help you, if you do start to blog, make sure that it's as effective as possible. So when you write your headline for your blog post, what you're trying to do, as I said, is you're trying to write articles that will appeal to your ideal customers. You want to use keywords so that they're keyword rich, and you want them to be interesting. So the keywords are more for Google, but ultimately you still need to appeal to a human being that needs to click on the article and will find it interesting. So it's really important that you sort of try and balance those 2 things. I do find that top 5s, top 7s, top 10s, even top 3 sort of suggestions lists can be quite powerful in terms of them being actually indexed, because people are always looking for short lists of things that, you know, summaries of what they can do. So those sorts of top 5, top 10 can be really, really good. The post content, again, needs to focus on your theme, and it needs to be relevant to your ideal customers, and you need to include keywords. You can also make sure that you include web links to other blogs or other pages on your website, or maybe even third-party sites, maybe such as your local destination management organization or tourist body that you maybe are a member of. They may have an article that would be related that you might want to then link them to. But it would be quite good to try and keep them for as long as possible on your website. So linking them to other web pages or to another article that is on the same theme or topic can be really, really useful. The third point is to think about the layout and length. So as I mentioned, 500 words is really, really good. Think about it that they want to be able to read it when they're having a quick cup of tea. It doesn't want to be War and Peace. Anything that's sort of 1,500 words, for example, people are going to switch off. It's not going to be as effective, but 500 words, 300 to 500 words is a good length for a blog post. And like I said, use your formatting to make sure that you're drawing people's attention to the key points and using things like subheads to draw out a summary of the actual blog post itself and the article. It's always worth, number 4 is checking your spelling. If you're not confident about your spelling, maybe do it in Word first and use the spell checker before you put it into your WordPress, predominantly your blogging software within your website. just to make sure there's no typos in there. If you're not very good at proofreading, maybe get somebody else to read it back. It's always easier for somebody else to spot the mistakes than it is for us to spot our own. Number 5 is make sure that you take time to tag and categorize. With a WordPress blog, you can actually group your blog posts under categories, which are like your similar subject headings. So it could be family friendly. It could be a whole host of different categories. It'll be different for each of your businesses, but you can basically, if the themes of your blogs, you can make into broad categories, and then you can file them under those. And that means that people can find the related content quite easily on your blog. Tags are almost like the next level down, where you can actually tag maybe the specific things you've mentioned. So if you were saying, I don't know, the top 10 friendly, dog friendly pubs, you might list those pubs in the tags because that's part of the content. So your category would be maybe dog friendly, and then your tags would be actually tagging the businesses and other levels of detail that are actually in the blog post. As I said, number 6, the meta description is a must. So you need to work at actually making that as powerful as possible for each blog post. As I said, use the WordPress SEO Yoast tool, which is really, really useful. And that really makes it easy to optimize each of your blog posts from a Google search point of view. Number 7 is perfect preview. So before you press that publish button, particularly with WordPress, you can do a preview of the page and how it's looking in terms of imagery and your layout. Obviously, that one final proofread to make sure you haven't got any spelling mistakes, and then you're ready to schedule your blog post. Now, one of the beauties of WordPress is that you don't need to write your blog posts and then send them live immediately. You can actually there's a scheduling tool in the top right hand corner where it says save draft, and then when it goes to publish, there is actually the ability to edit the date and send it out on a date in the future and a time that you think your readers will actually maybe be picking it up. So particularly if you're then going to link and put it on Facebook from your blog, you're going to promote your blog post, you might want to put it out at a time that allows you to do that at the best time for your audience. So do use the scheduling tool so that you don't have to sit and do the blog posts live as you want them to go out. You can actually maybe, like I said, if you have a spare rainy afternoon, you might decide to write a couple of articles, and then you can actually save those blog posts and schedule them to go out maybe twice during the month. Number 9 is be social and share. As I said, put the social share buttons onto your blog posts and make sure that you use things like social media. So Facebook and Instagram, if you've written a blog post, that's a great way of drawing attention to it by putting out a post and signposting people back to your particular blog post. The other thing is, if you allow on your blog post to have comments, you can switch comments off. But if you do allow comments, you need to really, a bit like with social media, you do need to actually monitor the comments and actually respond to people that comment on your blog posts. I personally tend to switch the comments off because it actually is more helpful not to have people commenting. It depends on what your blog posts are about. If you're adding value to the guest or visitor experience and you've got them on your website, you probably don't want comments. It's not a sort of, a dialogue that you really want going on. So you can switch those off, but it's also good to monitor in your Google Analytics. And again, there's a training video on that so that you can actually see how well your web pages are doing, and your blog posts will show up in that report that I've created and talked you through in the Google Analytics training. That will show up and show you which blog posts are actually doing really, really well. So then you know that possibly that might be a subject that you might want to write more blog posts about. So I also have finally some free blog resources for you. So I've written quite a bit about blogging on my other marketing consultancy website, which is orchardmarketingassociates.co.uk. There is a category called blogging, and there's lots of tips in there. you've got various tools here. There's a keyword generator, free images. If you obviously need to put images into your blog post, please don't steal them from Google on the images tab, because they belong to somebody and you will get found if you're using other people's images. They need to be your images, or you need to find some that are royalty free. So you can find those for free in sites like Canva, StockSnap, Unsplash, Pixabay. There's a whole series of them there listed that are free to use. Some of them require accreditation, attribution, in that you need to put a little credit line in to say where the photo came from. Some of them, such as Pixabay and Unsplash, actually don't require that. So you can actually just use those images. Then if you want to edit any of your images, I recommend Canva and befunky.com, which are really, really good for free editing tools. And then there are several sites that you can use to create really nice visuals. Canva is really, really good. Also, there's some quite fun ones like Keep Calm-O-Matic and Image Chef and WordSwag, and there's quote generators as well. So depending on what you're creating, they're quite useful for social media as well. But they are good tools if you're looking to create just some graphics that can help to make your blog posts more interesting. So I hope you found that interesting. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to watch the other digital marketing training videos available in this series.